Shalom Yashrala, this is your brother Dabba from GMS Tampa Bay '07, coming at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakah, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity in the four corners of the earth. All right, I'm going to jump into this here lesson dealing with the Bilderbergs, all right? So I'm going to jump into the scriptures here, starting off in Psalms 83, verse 2. It says, "For lo, thy enemies make a tumult. They that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel." Let me start back. "For lo, thy enemies make a tumult. They that hate thee have lifted up the head." All right, so the Most High has enemies. Not only the Most High, but the Most High's people has enemies. All right, these are our enemies. Who are our enemies? Esau. All right. Says, "And they that hate thee have lifted up the head." All right. These Edomites is getting proud right now, pushing forward with their so-called agenda. All right. "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and have consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance." Okay. "They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites of Moab, the Hagarenes, Gabal, Ammon, Amalek, the Philistines, and the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Salah." All right. So basically, here you have a congregation or a confederation of nations that's coming together. That's meeting together to put forth a agenda, more or less to say, to cut off Israel from being a nation. All right. And how do they plan on doing that? One, extermination. Two, the info wars that's combating this here truth coming out, further brainwashing us into, we are like, let's say, Wakandans. That was a big trend not too long ago where everybody wanted to be a so-called Wakandan. That's further cutting off the name of Israel. There'd be no more remembrance. All right. You so-called black, or you so-called American, or you so-called Wakandan, you so-called everything else but an Israelite. All right. They keeping this moving by pushing forth their agenda. All right. This is Job chapter 5, verse 12. "He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong." Okay. "They meet in darkness in the daytime and grope in noonday as in the night." Okay. So here it says he disappointed the devices of the crafty. All right. We read in Psalms 83 how they have taken up crafty counsel against the hidden ones. All right. So, but the Most High said He's going to disappoint that crafty counsel. All right. So, in their enterprise, and what's their enterprise? They want this new world order. They want to microchip everybody. They want to get rid of the men of the Lord. All right. "He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong." While they're planning on waging war basically on the whole damn planet, and then also exterminating the Israelites, they're going to wind up getting taken in their own snare. All right. This is not gonna read the whole thing. Actually, for time's sake, I'm gonna just get to the point. I'll start at verse 18. Job 20:18. "That which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down." Okay. So all the things that he's laboring for right now, all the resources on the planet Earth and the riches and all the things that he's meeting in his little meetings for, he's not going to be able to swallow it all down. He's going to wind up throwing it all back up. All right. He's going to wind up having to pay it all back. It says, "That which he labored for shall he restore, and he shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be. and he shall not rejoice therein. So according to his substance shall his restitution be, basically saying all that he got, he gonna have to give it all back. It says, because he has oppressed and has forsaken the poor, because he has violently taken away a house which he builded not. All right. And what is, and who, it says, and he has oppressed and forsaken the poor. All right, if he's oppressing and forsaking the poor, that's letting you know that he's not the oppressed or the poor. So who's the one doing the oppression, and who's, it's the same as the rich, the top of the top, the elites. All right. It says, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desire. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore, no man shall look for his goods. All right. Basically saying, again, he's going to restore all that he swallowed down, It says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. So right when he's about to have his plan done, his last little pieces of his enterprise done, the Most High is gonna upset the devices of the wicked. All right. It says, when he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. Okay. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow still shall strike him through. Talking about those nukes. So going back to verse 23, it says, when he's about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast fury upon his wrath shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him. All right. He shall rain it upon him while he's still eating. What is he going to rain on him? That iron weapon. All right. He going to catch his destruction while he's still trying to, eat off the rest of, these other nations in Israel up. All right. Jumping from there, we're going to jump into this here news article dealing with these Edomites haven't taken this crafty counsel. All right. Because these damn elites, they sit down and they plan and they plot the extermination and this is all they do, man. This is all every meeting that they have behind closed doors is about exterminating Jake and how to basically fuck over Jake, And when they talking about sustainable development and things like that, these are all fancy words. They're just saying, basically how we're going to kill Jake, Or we got to allocate resources and this and that, basically taking it from Jake and giving it to, to these elites and stuff like that. All right. Keeping Jake on the bottom. All right. Reading this here article, it says, what's on at Bilderberg? Secretive group of rich people meet on Russia, populism in EU and inequality. All right. Now, just as a little update, because I know a lot of brothers make this reference. It's a wrong reference, but the Bilderbergs isn't actually an elite family. All right. The Bilderbergs it's not a group. It's not like a family of people. There's no people called the Bilderbergs. All right. Like Bill Bilderberg or Tom Bilderberg. There's no such people called the Bilderbergs. All right. The Bilderberg come from, it's a hotel where it was a group of elite people, the important people, the elites, basically. They met at this hotel called Hotel de Bilderberg, and that's where the name Bilderberg come from that hotel. Okay. But it's a group of people, that their name isn't, just like us. We're Great Millstone, we're not necessarily, one actual family. Like we got the same grandma, grandfather, and so on. So now we do, but what I'm saying here is, we're not one big, huge family. You know what I'm saying? All with the name GMS, Tom GMS, Bill GMS, this and that GMS. Nah, we're a group of people who, are on one accord with one another. And, this is the banner, the title that we put on ourselves to recognize each other, in this group, So the same with the Bilderbergs. The Bilderberg is just a group of these elites, It's not an actual family like how you have the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds isn't a group of people. That's actually a family of people, that come together to rule the world. The Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Gettys, the Oppenheimers, Warburgs, the DuPonts, those are families, The Bilderbergs is an actual group, just a group of, like, let's just say, the Bilderberg, or the Rothschilds, the Oppenheimers, the Gettys, and all these people. These would all be the Bilderbergs, group of influential people, heads of states, heads of media, heads of corporations. These are all different people, non-related, and some of them could be related, but that's where you get the term Bilderberg from. It's actually a name of a hotel. All right. They just call this group of people the Bilderbergs. All right. So, reading on, it says, a select group of some of the world's richest and most powerful people is getting together this week for the annual Bilderberg Group meeting. right? And this is something that they have once a year, all right? And this goes all the way back, I believe, to, I want to say like maybe the 50s or so, or something like that. But nevertheless, this is those that hate the Most High, Psalms 82, 83, and starting at verse 2. All right, those that have that crafty counsel, that hate the Most High, that lift up their head. All right, this is what they doing, sitting down and meeting in the daytime, and they plan and they plot they wickedness. All right, it says a group of some of the world's richest and most powerful people is getting together this week in the annual Bilderberg group meeting, attracting controversy and conspiracy theories due to its elite and secretive nature. This year's gathering, which will be the 66th annual meeting of the mysterious group, takes place in Turin, Italy, between June 7th and 10th. The meeting will be attended by American and European business leaders, current and former governor officials, politicians, university professors, think tank analysts, and even some journalists. Okay, so again, like I said, the Bilderbergs isn't a family of people. It's not a family name, Bilderberg. It's actually just a group of influential people in the world, who in the first meeting had a meeting at the Hotel de Bilderberg, and that's where they get this group name from, Just like the Illuminati, it's not a family, it's a group of people, or Skull and Bones, or any of these other groups, all right? Says, but don't expect them to talk about it in public. What happens in Bilderberg meetings stay at Bilderberg meeting. It says, topping the agenda will be the challenges of populism in Europe, inequality. Now, you have to read between the lines of some of this stuff, all right? So populism in Europe, basically the downfall of Esau, and how these people are looking at these so-called Europeans. Inequality, all right? Now, inequality is getting into this so-called, the push of the LGBTQ movement, them trying to further push that, spread their wand. And the future of work, okay? And the future of work. Basically, they're trying to get into a economy, I forgot how they call it, can't think of the term of it, how they have it, but a universal income. They're trying to push for a universal income, all right? They got robots and machines now. They don't need you to work no more, all right? So nobody's going to really have a job, but everybody's going to get paid with this universal income, all right? That's something to look into, all right? So it says inequality and future of work. The group will also discuss the scourge of fake news and a post-truth world, all right? And again, reading between the lines, fake news. What is the fake news they talking about? Okay, well, they own all the media and stuff, so they can't obviously be talking about themselves now, can they? All right, don't nobody really believe conspiracy theorists on the internet, because that's what these damn Edomites are talking about 9/11. See, beforehand, when you had 9/11 and these little white kids talking about that, they was just conspiracy theorists, all right? But once the apostles of Great Millstone and on down got on the YouTube and started pushing this here truth, and the camp started spreading, now all of a sudden something called fake news and propaganda now that's running rampant on the internet, and they have to combat this now, all right? In a post-truth world, wait a minute, what are we claiming we pushing, the truth, that's what we call actually the truth, we just call it the truth, So they talking about in a post-truth world and fake news, this is their meeting agenda. What are we gonna do about the Israelites pushing this here truth, What are we gonna do about the Israelites out here exposing us, It says the group will also discuss the scourge of fake news and a post-truth world, as well as the state of the play of the U.S. before the 2018 midterms elections and the U.S. world leadership more generally. The list of the topics also include Russia, but it provides no further details. Some have pointed out that Turin is an appropriate location for this year meeting, given Italy's recently installed anti-establishment movement and a wave of populist uprising across the European Union, which has worried those in favor of maintaining the status quo. Others have noted the irony of a group of billionaires and politicians holding secret meetings in a fancy hotel to discuss inequality. All right, this is something that people should think about. These damn super rich, super elite people, these Edomites, come together with their money, and they move and they persuade the influence of the world and how things are moving in the world, But you see, Jake, you get a bunch of rappers and stuff like that together. They want to go together and go to a strip club and see how much money they can throw and spend to look like ballers, right? they ain't really in control of nothing, you know. But look what these Edomites is doing. They coming together with their businesses and their money, and they working in conglomeration to put Jake down to secure that they spot and dominance. All right. It says among the 2018 attendees, the U.S. former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. All right, now if you know this guy's background, this is a major player of world politics and moving. You know, he's one of the main, not even to say a pawn, but he's like a main chess piece for the elites, for the Rothschilds. Henry Kissinger will be more or less like in a chess game, like a queen or something like that. You know, him, Sir Big Brzezinski, which he's dead now, but he was another major player as well. George Soros, that's another major player. You know, these are all like queen pieces on the chessboard. These ain't your regular pawns, all right? Secretary of State, former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, former director of the CIA David Petraeus, okay? NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, Governor of the Bank of England Mark J. Carney, CEO of Ryanair Michael O'Leary, and CEO of Airbus Thomas Enders. All right, all these people are coming together. Like, just think about this: the former Secretary of State, somebody that's high up in the so-called government, in the White House and stuff like that. People who have a person who has international ties and diplomatic ties with other heads of states, and also a head of his own NGO, you know, non-governmental organization, basically a government without a nation attached to it, you know. Who's the real movers and shakers behind a lot of this stuff, man. This is director of the CIA, all right? Just think, or the former director of the CIA. Just think about the stuff that he know and the pool that he got. You know, David Petraeus, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, all right? So a top NATO guy, a top CIA guy, a top how do you say upper governmental body guy, you know, Secretary of State, all right? Governor of the Bank of England, all right? So a big major player in the banking system of England. All right. I'm not sure what Ryanair is, but Airbus is kind of like Boeing. It's a airplane manufacturing company. All right. Says virulent anti-Russia Washington Post columnist Anne Applebaum will also be there alongside her husband, Radosla. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Who was forced to resign as Poland's Minister of Foreign Affairs in 2015 after damaging records of him and other politicians were leaked to the public. All right. So it says here the key discussions for this year. The key topics for discussion this year includes populism in Europe, the inequality challenge, the future of work, AI or artificial intelligence, which is a whole other story in itself, you know, with these D-Wave computers and 5G technology. The U.S. before midterms, free trade, U.S. world leadership, okay, going into this one world, new world order, this one world government. Russia, quantum computer, which goes back up to artificial intelligence, which I was speaking on the D-Wave computers, going into the market of beasts. All right. Saudi Arabia and Iran getting into the forcing on to the Third World War. Who knows if those, you know, Saudi Arabia is going to be the one to draw out with Iran. We don't know. It says the post-truth world, okay, which is, hey, how they going to deal with the Israelites? Basically, that's code word for saying, you know, how we going to combat them Israelites, you know, in the media. That's how much and how important it is to be doing this work, you know. That's the effect of you doing this work, man. The effect of you pushing these videos. That's the effect of this battle, man. We out here fighting. This is us fighting. And again, the scriptures say our weapons are a warfare, not carnal. All right. Us putting up these here videos is us bombing them, you know. And what do they got to do? They got to go back to their base and they got to retreat and have a meeting and reanalyze how they got to come up with a strategy to combat with us. All right. And what are they doing? Number 11 says post-truth world. All right. And that's them making changes in preparation to combat what? Us pushing this truth and sincerity. All right. And what's that going to be? Like the scriptures say, a famine of the word, you know. And it also says current events. So why is Bilderberg why is the Bilderberg meeting so controversial? Well, for one thing, the meeting is so notoriously secretive, almost no information is available to the public. No minutes are taken and no reports is written up after the fact. Meetings are held under the Chatham House rule, which means that attendees can discuss the meeting and information gleaned from the meeting, but they cannot identify any of the speakers. The meetings are regularly picketed by protesters and many critics of the event, likened to gathering to a shadow world government of sorts. All right. And they tease there talking about there's a shadow world government. Obviously there is. You have these elitists. All right. It's not, you don't have Donald Trump, the White House, or world leaders in the UN cabinet, because you got a spot for that. You got the United Nations, where the heads of states, the heads of these nations go and they meet and they can sit down and discuss world politics, or Donald Trump, the cabinet, the Senate, the how do you call them? The Senate and the state, all those different positions. They can get and they can meet to discuss how they're going to rule the United States and stuff like that, and they do that in public. They got a channel on the TV called C-SPAN where you can see these certain meetings and when they debate certain things. All right. But here, these not necessarily heads of states, like I was saying, the president and so on and so forth, and all these people, it's not them that's meeting. You have different, NGO leaders, non-governmental organization, people that's not necessarily in the government anymore, former people, or heads of companies and certain things like that, because you see corporate America is the corporations is being merged with the rulership of America, But it says, all right, right here, it says, where powerful people go to hang on. The meetings are regularly picketed by protesters and many critics of them, of the event, likened the gathering of to a shadow government of sorts, where powerful people go to dictate how the rest of the world lives. Conspiracy theorists are convinced that the meetings are used to discuss the creation of a one world government and new world order, anyway, away from prying eyes of the plebeians and unwashed masses. All right, and so. And here they try to make you feel dumb if you caught on to what's going on, the mockery of these Edomites. They tell you flat out what they doing, but then they mock you at the end. It says conspiracy theorists are convinced that the meetings are used to discuss the creation of a one world government and a new world order. But hold up, over here when you look at what they said they was gonna talk about, it says populism in Europe, the U.S. before midterms, U.S. world leadership, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. All right, a post-truth world and current events, free trade. All right, all these things here is dealing with not just one nation. We're not just talking about the U.S., talking about Europe, talking about Russia, talking about the whole world. And these people is talking and discussing these things. What are they trying? They speaking in a position of they have authority over top of the world. They got the right to change it and they got the power to change it. Then they over top of the world, But they'll come down here and says conspiracy theorists are convinced that the meetings are used to discuss the creation of a one world government and a new world order. All right. But they say that by saying conspiracy theorists, and they make that synonymous with so-called crazy people. All right. We're going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for your Akim pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions. Stay strong. Shalom.